Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we've all been asking the same question, is the AI bubble about to burst? But what if I told you one already has? Today, we're diving into some fascinating research that suggests the real AI bubble, well, it's not what you think at all. For the better part of a year, this has been the multi-trillion-dollar question hanging over pretty much the entire tech world, right? Every time a stock surges, every time there's a new product announcement, you can hear those same nervous whispers. Is this sustainable? Is the crash coming? But here's the twist. What if that's completely the wrong question? The data we're looking at today points to a totally different story, one that isn't about what might happen, but about a massive shift that has already happened. Okay, check this out. These are web searches for the term AI bubble. See that gigantic spike back on August 21st? Well, ever since then, interest has just fallen off a cliff. We're talking down to just 15% of its peak. It looks like one bubble has definitely burst, the bubble of people panicking about an AI bubble. And it's not just a fluke on Google either. You see the exact same pattern when you look at media coverage and social media. This Media Fear Index, which analyzes news articles, took a big dip. And mentions on Reddit? Yep, they followed the exact same downward spiral. It feels like the collective freakout is, well, it's over. So to really understand what's going on here, we got to take a quick step back and ask a really basic question. What even is a market bubble? Now, on paper, a bubble seems simple, right? It's just when the price of something gets way, way ahead of what it's actually worth. The problem is, nobody, and I mean nobody, can ever agree on what that actual worth is, not even years after the whole thing has crashed and burned. And believe me, people have been trying to call the top forever. I love this quote from an investment manager back in November 1998, right in the middle of the dot-com boom. He was absolutely convinced it was all about to come crashing down. So what happened after he made that super confident prediction? Did the Nasdaq crash? Nope. It did the exact opposite. It went on one of the most insane surges in market history, more than doubling in just 16 months. It just goes to show you, these bubbles are messy and they are totally unpredictable. And this brings us to a really interesting paradox. It's kind of like the Hawthorne effect in psychology. You know, the idea that people change their behavior just because they're being watched. Well, when everyone is publicly worrying about a bubble, all that shared anxiety can actually work like a pressure release valve, maybe even stopping it from popping right away. Okay, so if all that bubble talk has faded away, the big question is, why? The research points to four key things that brought a serious dose of realism back into the whole AI conversation. And here they are. Basically, the market got hit with a four-part reality check. The tech wasn't quite the magic everyone hoped for. The physical infrastructure has some serious limits. Actually using this stuff is really hard. And, well, we're all just humans acting like humans. First up, the tech itself. Think about OpenAI's GPT-5 launch. A lot of people were expecting this huge leap towards true artificial general intelligence. What we got was an improvement, a good one for sure, but an incremental one. Something that would have blown our minds 18 months ago was suddenly met with a kind of collective shrug. Second, there's the nuts and bolts of it all, the physical reality. For AI to really change the world, it needs this unbelievably massive, complex, and expensive foundation of computer chips, data centers, and just tons of energy. We're talking about building something on a scale that just doesn't exist right now. Third, we're realizing that the hard part is just getting started. You know, it's one thing to be wowed by a chatbot demo. It is a completely different and much harder thing to actually weave that technology into a messy, real-world business and make it create actual value. That's the real work, and it's just beginning. And finally, number 4 is just good old human psychology. We do this with pretty much every major new technology. It's called the hype cycle. We start with these wildly inflated expectations, then we fall into what they call the trough of disillusionment when it doesn't solve all our problems overnight. And only after that do we start to climb towards real sustainable productivity. We overshoot, then we have a reality check. And you know what? This pattern is not new. Not at all. In fact, if you look back through financial history, you see this exact same roller coaster playing out again and again and again. You get famous last words like these from a top economist just 9 days before the 1929 stock market crash. It's such a great reminder that every generation seems to believe that their technological boom is the one that's different from all the rest. The technology is always different, but the human reaction, it's remarkably consistent. We saw it with the railway mania in the 1840s, the radio stock boom in the 1920s, the tronics boom for early electronics in the 60s. Every single one of them sparked a huge cycle of boom and then bust. And here's what makes it so incredibly difficult for investors. The South Sea bubble lasted all of 7 months. Railway mania went for 2 years. The dot-com bubble, that took 5 years to inflate. There is just no set timeline, which makes trying to predict when one will pop, well, it's pretty much a fool's errand. And that fundamental unpredictability leads us straight to the ultimate investor's dilemma: trying to time the market. The famous economist John Maynard Keynes supposedly said it best: markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. Basically, you might be right in the long run, but you can go completely broke waiting for everyone else to figure that out. And this right here is why jumping in and out is such a dangerous scheme. Look at this. If you put $10,000 in the market back in 1996 and just left it alone, you'd have over $170,000. But what if you tried to time it and you missed just the 10 best days? Your return gets cut in half. Miss the 20 best days and you've lost 3/4 of your potential gains. The cost of being wrong is just enormous. Which brings us right back to where we started. The AI revolution is absolutely real. It's transformative. But it seems the market's reaction to it, well, it's following a very, very old script. And that leaves all of us with the one question that echoes through every single one of these technological booms. Is this time really different?